Good morning, Gear Up students. Today we welcome some special guests to our high school. But first, we are going to watch a short video.
Turning a 20-foot wall into a canvas takes vision. So will getting into college. I've got what it takes. So do you.
Okay, please welcome to the stage the Gear Up coordinator, Ms. Hansen.
Thank you, Melanie and Sasha. I'm very excited today to have some of my friends from Ottumwa join us. They each have their own stories that they're going to share with you today, so I just ask that you give them your full attention. Something that some of you do not know about me is I was a first-generation student, which means neither my mom nor my dad have a bachelor's degree. So for those of you that are in that position, I understand what it feels like. Fortunately for you guys, there's a lot more resources than when I was your age. So I encourage you to reach out when you have questions or you're not sure what your next steps are, because we're here to help you. I came from generations of farmers. So my parents were farmers, my aunts and uncles were farmers, my grandparents were farmers. Everybody I knew was a farmer. So outside of that, I really had no idea what college even looked like, what career options were out there for me. All I knew was farming and that it wasn't for me. So I had some teachers that kind of inspired me to look at colleges. My parents did what they could to support me in that process. And I knew that I had a vision. I wanted to travel. So to travel, I needed to do some things to support that lifestyle. Going to college was going to get me there. I enrolled in a community college and got my 2-year degree, and then transferred and got my 4-year degree. While I was at my graduation for my bachelor's degree, I was sitting there, again, a first-generation student, have not experienced these sorts of things before, and I'm looking around and I see these people with hoods. And I was like, what are those? I literally had no idea what they were. It kind of reminded me of Harry Potter, but I really wasn't sure what was going on. Later I found out that if you pursue graduate school, get your master's degree or a doctorate, that's when you get a hood. So about a decade later, working full-time and as a single mom, I got my hood. And I was very proud of that because I was the first person in my family to pursue college, and I was the first person to get a graduate degree. And what happened there is my vision grew even more, because as I was standing in line waiting to go onto stage, I noticed that there were people there with hoods and funny hats. And I was like, why do they have funny hats? They were getting their PhDs. So now my vision is to eventually go on and get a doctorate one day. I encourage all of you guys to dream. No matter what your circumstances are, what your status is, the opportunities are out there. So I'm going to turn it over to my friends. They're going to share their stories and experiences with you now. We have Jamarco Clark, who is the Director of Student Life at Indian Hills Community College. So please welcome Jamarco.
All right, the real question about show of hands, who's just here for the cookies? Oh, that's not good. That was a trick question. So, as Mark said, I'm Jamarco Clark, Director of Student Life at Indian Hills Community College, and I got 3 minutes, and I'll share a little bit with you about my journey and how I got to Ottumwa, Iowa. So, starting off, I'm originally from Pensacola, Florida, so I grew up. I'm the oldest of four children. I grew up in a really rough area. What we would call a hood. So I grew up, was really active in the street, so making a lot of decisions that wouldn't always amount to a good future if I would have continued to make those decisions. So I was getting in trouble in school, causing my teachers to get some gray hair probably, just making boneheaded decisions, really bad decisions. But at some point in my life, I realized that you can be a product of your environment or you can make it out of your environment. And for me, I saw a lot of friends, I've lost a lot of friends to jail, to incarceration. I've had a lot of friends be killed. And I realized that that was something that I didn't want. I didn't want that. I didn't want my family to have to go through that hurt that I've seen my friend's family go through. So that's when my light bulb switched, flipped off in my head. So that brought me to Iowa. So I played football at Iowa Wesleyan College, now University in Mount Pleasant, Iowa. While at Iowa Wesleyan, initially going in, I thought I wanted to be a teacher. I was going to be a pre-K teacher. And then I did my work study in the daycare, and that quickly changed for me. So after that, I thought it was really important that I did everything I could to be very active on campus. So I did anything you can think of as a college student, I did it. So my degree was in educational foundations, but I was a student body president 1 year. I was a captain of the football team, started for 3 years. I was an admissions ambassador, service ambassador. Anything you can think of that a student could do, I did it. So then the question is, how does a young kid from Pensacola, Florida, first generation college student really, get into that? So I have what I think you all have in Barb and a lot of your administrators in the building. I have people who are my champions, and that's something that I get to do now for my students. You need someone that's going to be your champion, because a lot of time you're going to think that you're not enough, you're going to think that you're not meant to be, but you are. So I have what I use is this called the why not me attitude. So someone has to be a college president, why not me? Someone has to be the director of student life, why not me? Someone has to go to college, why not me? Someone has to do that job, why not me? So that's something that I encourage you all to really adapt, have that why not me attitude. Whatever it is that you want to do, know that someone has to do it, so why not you? So after I was at Wesleyan, I worked at Truman State University in Kirksville, Missouri. I worked at Coe College in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And then I worked at Mount Mercy University where I obtained my master's degree. So I got my hood, much like Barb. I have a master's degree in strategic leadership. While at Mount Mercy, I worked in service learning as well as residence life. So with that work, I was able to really reflect back on all the help that I've gotten over my years growing up. And I was in a role that I was able to use my students, work with my students to be able to give back to community. So we traveled to Guatemala, we traveled to Belize, all around the world, just doing our part and giving back to communities and showing students, even the little kids in those communities, that you can make it out, you can go to college. College isn't just going to class and doing homework. There's a lot of extracurricular and co-curricular things that make college great. So from there, I decided I was looking for a new opportunity, and that brought me back here to Ottumwa, well, not back to Ottumwa, but to Ottumwa to be the director of student life at Indian Hills. And at Indian Hills, I am in charge of student conduct, student housing, and student activities. And in that, I'm able to work with a lot of different students and be their champion. So I'll have a conduct situation with the student making some not so good decisions, but I'm able to work with them and show them that although you're making a mistake here, we can redirect this, we can correct this, and get you going in the right direction. So additionally, I'll end with, I'm also getting my doctorate. So I'm getting my doctorate in higher education, student affairs, administration, and leadership. I'm going to be starting that in about 3 weeks. So I got a syllabus the other day, and then I looked at the syllabus and I was like, I don't know if I want to do this or not. And that's what we call imposter syndrome. So I got accepted into grad school. It was a very competitive process to get into the doctoral school. But here I am thinking, you can't do this. And that imposter syndrome it's something that you can have at any stage of your life. And when I begin to think about the imposter syndrome, it goes back to that why not me? Someone has to get a doctorate degree from the University of Wisconsin La Crosse to keep getting after their goals, and it's why not me. So I encourage you to think about that, why not me? Whenever things are getting rough, as you get down to the rest of the end of your school year, think why not me and accomplish your goals. So thank you.
Next we have Krista Tedrow with Job Corps.
Thank you. So before I start talking, I'm going to let you know that my parents are both meth addicts and prison felons. I grew up right here in Ottumwa. I was in and out of the foster care system a whole lot. School was a real challenge for me. In my second grade year, I went to 8 different schools. So I couldn't read really till I was about 4th grade because we were moving around a lot. So I would like for you to participate with me. I'm going to read a list of 10 questions that I just read about 2 years ago, and it made things make a lot of sense to me. So my score on this, you're gonna either answer yes or no. You can do that to yourself and just kind of keep track to the questions you say yes to. So first and only time I'll probably be a perfect 10. So I'm gonna ask some questions. Did a parent or an adult in your household often or very often swear at you, insult you, put you down, humiliate you, or act in a way that you were afraid that you would be physically hurt? That's mine, yes. Did a parent or another adult often push, grab, slap, or throw something at you, or ever hit you so hard that marks left you injured? My second, yes. Did an adult or person at least 5 years older than you ever touch or fondle or touch you in a sexual way or attempt to have intercourse with you? Third, yes. Did you often or very often feel that no one in your family loved you or thought you were important or special, or did not look at you or feel close to you or support you? Fourth, yes. Did you often or very often feel you did not have enough to eat, have to wear dirty clothes to school and had no one to protect you, or have parents that were too drunk or high to take care of you or take you to the doctor if you needed it? My fifth, yes. Were your parents ever separated or divorced? Six, yes. Was your mother or stepmother often pushed, grabbed, slapped, or had something thrown at her, or kicked, bitten, hit with a fist, or hit with something hard, or ever repeatedly hit for a few minutes or threatened with a gun or a knife? All of those, yes, for me. 7. Number 8, did you live with anyone who was a problem drinker or alcoholic or used street drugs? 8, yes. Number 9, was a household member depressed or mentally ill, or did a household member attempt suicide? Number 9, yes. Number 10, did a household member go to prison? Yes, my parents were really not in prison, so it's interesting. You get a number when you go to prison, and then after that number you get an A, and then a B, and then a C, according to how many times you reoffended. So both of my parents are at the D level on that, so that means they were in prison at least 4 different times. So what I want to talk to you a little bit about today is a phrase that I heard from our center director, Mark Douglas, and he said, begin with the end in mind. And that, I think, is really hard for youth, especially when you are saying, well, what's the end look like? Because all I can think of is, Mom going to have that boyfriend over tonight? Are they going to be raging at our house tonight? Am I going to have a place to sleep tonight? Will we have food to eat? I have 2 younger siblings. I was taking care of them by myself when I was 5 years old, trying to make macaroni and hot dogs, and it was a real challenge. So anyway, I eventually ended up being adopted. So I was adopted, and then I went to Indian Hills Community College. I finished my degree there, and then I went off to Colorado. And you can imagine in about 2008, what became legal in the state of Colorado? Yep. I took off, went to Colorado, smoked a lot of weed, did a lot of drugs, made a lot of really poor decisions. I ended up in a mental institution because I smoked some what you call K2. You know what I'm talking about? Stuff that makes you eat people's face off? Yeah. So I ended up trying to turn myself in for underage drinking and use of illegal substances, to which the lady on the other end of the line just laughed. And I ended up spending the night in a mental facility, and my biological mom had gotten her life together, and she came and picked me up and brought me back to Iowa. What I realized was that I didn't want that. And I can tell you, when I was in high school, I said to myself, I will never do drugs, I will never live that life, I don't want to be my parents. And I was headed down that road. So I got back, got myself kind of together, and I got connected with my mom again. She had gotten out of prison. She had gotten into high school or college with Indian Hills Community College, and she's now a nurse at Vista Woods. So she kind of pulled it together. I then graduated from Indian Hills, went out there, came back, and right now, I decided, what do I want to do? I started beginning with the end in mind. I said, I want to help youth that have experienced things like me, who've been told that they're not good enough, that they don't have a future, that there's nowhere they're going to go and they can't make it. I want to be somebody who can help them. So I ended up taking a job at Indian Hills Community College with Job Corps, and I oversee a college program with 100 at-risk youth that are first-generation college students like myself, many of which have a score of 10 on that ACEs, just like me, and it is phenomenal. I'm right now finishing my degree in organizational leadership with Buena Vista University. I only have 6 weeks left for my bachelor's, and then here in 6 weeks, I have also taken opportunity to be in their +1 program. So that means it'll take me 1 more year and I'll have my master's, and I'm actually gonna get that done a little bit quicker. So what's really cool about that is I am a first-generation college graduate, but I'm able to give back. So when you think about begin with the end in mind, I get that some of you are thinking about what's the end of today, or minute by minute. But really think about what is your end goal, and beginning with the end in mind. So if you're interested, you've got Barb here to help you out, you've got some great people here to help you out. Job Corps is a really great opportunity. School is completely paid for. And again, if your score is more higher on that, people say if you have 4 or more, if you answered yes to 4 or more of those questions, you're more likely to drop out of high school, you are more likely to have poor health outcomes, you are more likely to live in poverty, and you are more likely to commit suicide or attempt suicide, okay? So these are things that are pretty serious, but we have resources to help out with, and I am proof that my only perfect 10, which isn't so great, that you can come out of that and you can come out on top.
All right, next I'm going to welcome Jason McBride from John Deere. We're running short on time, so you're okay. So I'm going to tell you guys real quick, on Friday we're going to continue this conversation. We're calling it Pizza in the Panel. So after school at 12:30, if you want to join us in the cafeteria, you can. But to, I think, finish up today, I'm going to have Jason, Kayla, and Javier all come up and just give them a real brief version of your story and your advice that you've learned from your experiences.
Hey everyone, Jason McBride from Indianapolis, Indiana. I guess to keep it short, my upbringing was kind of similar to Jamarco's in a way. Come from a low-income family and a first-generation college graduate. Yeah, I keep it short. So, went to college just by using my resources in high school. Went to a better high school after we moved out of the projects. Leveraged my resources, got scholarships. Studied engineering, and once I got to college, one thing that I always preach is just you have to start hustling and kind of working on your own and being your own advocate. So found my way through internships through NASA, USDA, and finally John Deere. This was my introduction to Iowa. So I, just about 2 summers ago, I actually interned in Waterloo, where they built the tractors. I liked the company. After I graduated, I had about 7 offers. Came to John Deere, where I'm now a manufacturing engineer for about 1.5 years now. So my advice is just to really focus on yourself. I know high school can be kind of be stuck in the lights and everything like that, but you know, take care of yourself and believe in yourself. So yeah.
Hi, my name is Kayla Eckerman, and I do work and live here in Ottumwa. I'll spend less time talking about my childhood, but basically it was very similar to Krista's, but the majority was spent in the child welfare system. By the time I aged out of foster care, I had went to over 10 different high schools, lived probably way over 15 different places, and then I definitely did not want to go to college after I graduated high school. I literally had to walk the stage at graduation and then went home, packed my bags, and then I just couch surfed. So I ended up going to college only because I needed a place to live. So that was initially the reason I did, and then I still didn't know what I wanted to do, but I got my associates